Hey everybody, and welcome to my playthrough of Sonic Mania! One of my favorite games of all time. Taking the good old classic Sonic formula and turning it up to 11. I've enjoyed the classic Sonic games plenty ever since I was a kid, but they are certainly not flawless games. But with this one, basically every level is a great one, and I never tire of revisiting it. It's a great game to play when I have 2 hours to spare and no other ideas for what to use it on. My only really big problem with it is that it could have used a little bit more originality, but with all the new spins they bring onto all these old classic levels, I can most definitely forgive it. Now let's spin dash right into one of the most fun video game experiences I've ever had, Sonic Mania. Here on the menu screen, you have the Mania mode at the top, along with a bunch of other modes, and each one has a nice little GIF showing you how they work, essentially, or showing you a little example of them. However, my favorite one has to be the exit button down at the bottom. It's a reference to the secret in Sonic CD where if you wait 3 minutes, Sonic gives up and leaves the game. It's pretty great. There's an extras menu that doesn't have anything except the credits and a single medal that's very sad and lonely. That's not what I meant, nope. Up at the options menu right above it, you can, oh yeah, I think you can turn on a CRT filter if you want. If you want that old Genesis experience, you won't be able to get the actual CRT experience unless you play this game on a CRT, which I'm sure someone has. This clean filter looks terrible, no thanks. The rest of this is pretty self-explanatory, except for triple buffering. I won't explain it though, because I don't know what it is. Sound options. This should be a criminal offense, the ability to do that. Well, not the ability to, but actually doing it. This game's music is incredible. I'm definitely going to let you listen to so much stuff as we go throughout it. Here's controls. I'm playing with keyboard because it works for me. Language and save data. Yeah, you get it. Let's just jump right in. Mania mode. I like how Sonic and Tails are just taking a stroll throughout the same 2 seconds of Green Hill Zone there. Here's our save files. If you hover over any save file, you can press a button to get game options. This used to be called secrets in an older version of Sonic Mania, but then they decided to add in the ability to turn off the 10-minute time limit that Sonic stages have, which is pretty nice. I think some of these stages can take you a long time, so if I were you, I think I would recommend going in and doing this. The rest of this stuff isn't supposed to be unlocked at first. Don't look at this, you're not allowed to see it. Oh, this music is so great. It's a great way to get yourself hyped to play this amazing, amazing game. Let's go in. No save mode. Tails, how about you go fetch yourself from ice cream? I'll be back in about 2 hours. Don't worry about me. There, I was nicer this time. You happy now? So those 5 egg robos have dug up a mysterious stone on Angel Island called the Phantom Ruby. The ruby has not only transformed them into new, much better looking versions of themselves, but it has teleported us to an old familiar land, Green Hill Zone from Sonic 1, the level that started it all. This might be considered to be the most unpopular choice for a zone reuse in Sonic Mania just because Green Hill's been used 50,000 fucking times and everyone's tired of seeing it. But good thing is, you can get through it as quick as you want to thanks to Sonic's new ability, the drop dash. By jumping, then holding down the jump button in the air, you dash as you hit the ground. This ability is amazing. It's enough to make me forget the Insta-Shield ever existed. I love the drop dash so much. Even as much fun as I had with the Insta-Shield with fighting bosses, the drop dash is just so much better for getting through levels. I love it. There we go, smacked you right in the face. Yes, I'm ignoring most of the side stuff. We'll cover it later. We'll have time. Bounce that, grab our shield, which will protect us from any damage for one hit. And we're already at the end, just like that. Very simple level to get us started. A not-so-simple boss, though. I quite like this this first fight, though. It is pretty easy. You just hit that one 3 times. You hit it when they're not covered in spikes and all red like that. It's not too bad, but it's hell of a lot better than the freaking first boss of Sonic 3, let me tell ya. There we go. 6 hits and they're down. That's usually how many hits a mini-boss takes. Then the goalpost from the heavens descends onto the earth and decrees that you are the greatest hedgehog in the world, and then doesn't give you a power-up when it hits the ground. I mean, why would signposts do that, right? And they've carried over the wonderful feature from Sonic 3 where those Act 2s begin right after the Act 1s. I always loved that about Sonic 3, and I was super happy to see it back here, because honestly, I was kind of worried that that whole formula for a platformer would have gone away forever once I learned that Sonic 3 is basically the only game to do something like that. I want to go up on this higher rat right here. That was a checkpoint I just hit. I don't think I ever pointed those out in the Sonic 3 playthrough, so there you go. I want to drop dash this. Here's a hang glider, and right here we're seeing, well, I'm about to head into a special stage, so I'm gonna change the topic back shortly. Special stages in Sonic Mania force you to catch the UFO that is absconding with one of the Chaos Emeralds. Kind of similar to how Eggman was trying to run away with the Master Emerald at the end of Sonic 3. I wonder if there's a little bit of a connection there, maybe. What you gotta do in these special stages, you gotta collect these blue spheres here in order to build up your speed. We are currently going at Mach 1 speed. Could have fooled me. Now we're going Mach 2. Again, could have fooled me. In addition, you have a ring counter up there that's constantly counting down. If it hits 0, you lose. If you fall out of the stage along the sides, you lose. But get up to the emeralds, and you win. That's the first Chaos Emerald. Yes, I will be doing the special stages this time because I'm actually good at these ones. Self-proclaimedly. Maybe there's a Sonic Mania Pro out there who's like, your gameplay fucking sucks. And if that's the case, cool. Then that means this game has like a huge freaking skill ceiling. It's about as high as the average chapel. One thing I love about the reused zones in this game is that, you know, they don't just copy and paste an existing zone and call it good. No. They reimagine it, they add new features, and this is most prominent within the Act 2s of any reused zone. As you can see, these hang gliders, the background, all this is very different from the original Green Hill Zone from Sonic 1. And you can see, they've included the bats from Marble Zone making a small appearance here. I really like that. There's also that fish down there that I'm not sure if that was in the original game. I'm not sure if it would have been the ones to hop out and, like, try to snatch you in its jaws. Alright, here we go. I just wanna climb up here. Oh, the water in the background looks so great. It might be an overused zone, but I do really enjoy Green Hill's aesthetics, and I think that it is a great zone to get us started here. It's simple enough that for anyone who hasn't played a classic Sonic game before, it won't be overwhelming to them or anything like some of the other levels in this game can be, so I think it makes for a pretty great first level. And you know what also makes for a great first boss? The final boss of Sonic 2, of course. Yeah, this is the final fight of Sonic 2, the Death Egg robot coming to attack you at the end of the first zone. It has some new attacks, such as that one where it extends its arm there. You can stand on it like a platform. I think yes, it also throws in a mine at you to explode. It'll hit through the hills, but it is significantly easier than the original Fight for One main reason. Not only is it kind of easier to get a hit from above, but its legs are now harmless, meaning you can just go underneath it and pound on it from down below. Don't take that out of context, please. There you go, that's it. I think that was less than 8 hits. Normally Sonic bosses take 8 hits to die, and that one seems to not. Wow, you sliced that tree very evenly, Eggman. Great job. Hit the pod, release the animals. That's the first zone done. Let's move on to the more interesting zones. Eggman, seems like you're not getting along too well with those goons of yours. Those guys are known as the hard-boiled heavies, by the way. We will be fighting each of them throughout the game. The Phantom Ruby whisks us off to yet another point of nostalgia. I mean, another level, of course. Chemical Plant Zone from Sonic 2. I do like how we start with the first zone from Sonic 1 and then move into the second zone from Sonic 2. It's kind of nice theming there, I guess. That starting animation where Sonic got a piece of chemical dripped on him and then he shook it up is a reference, I believe, to the shake-off animation he has at the beginning of Sonic Spinball when he jumps out of the pool in the first level of that game. Pretty cool. Now inside the chemicals, I don't have time to talk about that. I got a special stage to play through. Catch the UFO. Ooh, I love this one. I love the background of this one. I really like pretty nighttime skies, and I like those giant fish statues too that are a reference to Sonic 1 special stages. We'll talk more about that later. You got some power-ups in special stages. That one gave 10 rings, and the second one gave me a ton of speed meter, whatever that's officially called. This one instantly jumps you up a Mach speed level, so we are immediately Mach 3. Mach 3 is the highest speed level you can go in special stages. Any further spheres collected beyond this point, upon filling the meter, I think just give you bonus points, and that's it. No need to collect any more blue spheres. Just focus on hitting these tight corners and catching up to the UFO. And there you go. Pretty simple, honestly. I'd recommend jumping every time you turn a corner. I found that makes it so much easier to control your turns. Otherwise, you kind of slide around all over the place. There's a second Chaos Emerald out of 7. Fun fact, in Sonic 1, there used to be only 6 Chaos Emeralds. The 7th one was added in Sonic 2. I always find that interesting. It was also the same game that introduced Super Sonic, so I guess the 7th one is what was truly needed to unlock the power of Super Sonic. Chemical Plant Zone has to be one of my favorite levels from Sonic 2. Might even be my favorite level from Sonic 2, and that's in particular because of the amazing music. I have to say, though I like this remix enough and I think it does the job fine, I do slightly prefer the original music from the original Genesis game. It just felt a lot more lively than this one does. This one's like missing a bit of that oomph to get it going. Listen to the 2 tracks back to back and I'm sure you can hear what I mean. Or maybe you can't, in which case that's fine. Careful, do not step on the last block here. You can be crushed if between these 2 platforms and killed if that one has a block positioned right there. That's a spider trying to grab me. Don't let that happen. Don't let spiders grab you. That's a tip for real life as well. Now, we enter Infamy, this section. We are now underneath the chemicals, or just simply underwater. Sonic cannot breathe underwater. He has 30 seconds of oxygen before he runs out. You will know when you are getting low. You need to jump out of this part as soon as you can. This was featured in Sonic 2 in Act 2 of Chemical Plant Zone. I didn't like how early that section was for its really high difficulty. I didn't really like how early it was in the game there, and I don't really like it here either, especially because it's one level earlier. It's in the Act 1 rather than the Act 2. Still though, I think they made that section just a little bit easier by inverting how some of those platforms revert. Aside from that, though, yeah, a little bit of a weird idea to put that section there. It is possible to avoid that section in Sonic 2, though I don't know about this game. In other news, mid-boss. This one is kind of a reference to the Ice Cap Zone mid-boss. The Ice Cap Act 1 boss from Sonic 3, where it gains all these balls around itself and you gotta hit through it. I think it's a lot easier to land your hits, though, probably because, you know, this is a modern game, so it has much more refined hitbox systems that actually, like, you know, work and aren't janky. No offense to the Genesis, it's just the truth. Chemical Plant Act 2 fills the role of Hydrocity Act 2 perfectly in being that really fast, fun stage that I always look forward to playing and that always welcomes me to a new playthrough of Sonic Mania and reaffirms my choice of playing the game. We also have a bunch of new stuff going on here. That harmful blue chemical that we saw beneath the arena of the boss would hurt us, but if we inject it with the light blue stuff, it becomes bouncy. If we inject it with green stuff, fluids I guess, it becomes ultra bouncy. I think it's a reference to Sonic CD, the level wacky workbench that had the floor that would bounce you way up to the high parts. And that those pipes are also a reference to Sonic CD, how you can choose the direction you go in them. And similarly, the whirly pipe that we went down before that looks like a coil is a reference to Carnival Night Zone. There's references to other Sonic games all over this game. It's pretty cool, I guess. Even though it means that this game truly isn't that original. But, you know, aside from that, this DNA thing is at least new, and so is the background. I always loved how the Act 2s have different backgrounds or aesthetics from the Act 1s, which is one of the many ways that they stood apart from the Act 1s in Sonic 3 compared to the first 2 games where they were just the same level but somewhat rearranged. And carrying that over, and the fact they carried that over into Sonic Mania makes these levels all the more exciting to go through again, even if you've already played them back in the day. Alright, to talk about our shield here. This is a bubble shield. Unlike the boring blue shield we had before, this one has special abilities. If we were to go underwater again, we would be immune to drowning. We would be unable to drown. We would have unlimited air. In addition, by jumping and tapping jump again, you can bounce along the ground. In Sonic 3, this didn't do a lot. In Sonic Mania, boom! I love that. One of the best changes between Sonic 3 and this game by far. I absolutely love how you can freaking bank shot off of a slope in order to gain a ton of speed with the bubble shield. It is incredible. In other news, special stage number 3. Ooh, this one's pink. I like it. I don't know what those arches are in the distance, but they've got a nice little aesthetic going on here. Jump grab you. I should also show what the bonus stages are. This game also has bonus stages, which is the star portals above every checkpoint that we've touched. Hopefully I'll remember to show one of those off. But I technically already did in a past video because the bonus stages in this game are just the Sonic 3 special stages. But modernized and with new music, and they give you something else upon completing them than the Chaos Emeralds. You want the Chaos Emeralds? These are the stages you're after. I do kind of find it odd that there's like bonus stages and special stages in Sonic 3 and Mania. Can make it a little confusing. If it looks like I am able to fall off the side, that's actually not the case. You can see that there are bumpers there. If I were to try to jump off the side, it would not let me. It would bounce me back. It's if those things aren't there that you can fall off the edge. So those holes in the middle that were surrounded by the rings, I could have fallen in those if I was careless, but I'm not careless. I love using it to break open that thing. If there's anything you need to stomp on in this game, bring the bubble shield, unless you don't have any say in the matter. Take this pipe, and welcome to a completely different video game. Yeah, this is a bit of a weird choice in my opinion. This is Puyo Puyo, a Japanese puzzle game where you have to get 4 of these little blob guys known as Puyos together of the same color. If you can get 4 of them together, you launch garbage in the other player's space. And the objective is to try and fill the other player's space with as many Puyos as you can in order to make them lose. It's kind of like, you know, competitive Tetris. Here we go. The controls are that you use the D-pad or arrow keys or whatever you're using to move them, and then you press 2 of the jump buttons in order to switch rotation. You're definitely going to have to mess around with it a bit to see how the controls are. If you can get combos of, like, getting the same color, you throw even more garbage. If you can get 4 blues and then the drop down results in 4 yellows being connected, that throws even more garbage into the opponent's bay. If you can't tell by my gameplay of this, I have no idea how to play Puyo Puyo, and I'll be honest, I don't really feel like learning. It doesn't look like one of those games that I'm gonna enjoy that much. It's just it looks way too fast, way too crazy for me. Oh, okay, I have something nice here. Look at this. Yellow, and then the blue, and now Eggman's about to receive a load of more garbage. The reason why I consider this a strange choice is because, well, it's a completely different video game in the middle of a Sonic game. In the middle of a platformer, you're suddenly forced to play a level of this. Good thing is, though, Puyo Puyo games can get insanely hard, but this is not one of those games. Eggman's AI is probably is completely, like, below beginner level, so thankfully, you have a huge advantage. I forgot to mention this during the fight, so I'm gonna pop it in post. I know why this boss is here. This boss is here because back in the old days, Puyo Puyo games would often be reskinned into existing franchises when being released in America because I guess the original developers just thought it would be too anime for the West. One of the Puyo Puyo games did get turned into a Sonic game called Dr. Robotnik's Mean Bean Machine for the Genesis, and this boss is supposed to be referencing that game. That is why this boss is here. Last thing I love doing with the bubble shield in this level. Pow! I love that. Chemical Plant Zone done. Love that stage. Now, sit back and enjoy the atmosphere of the following level. It's wonderful. best first impression ever. Okay, that's kind of a weird thing to say without any evidence to back it up or other such claims. Thankfully, Sonic Mania is not just a collection of the fan-favorite levels from the classic Sonic games. It brings in some new stages of its own. Not enough if you ask me, but still. This is the first one, Studiopolis Zone, and boy do I love it. Excellent music, amazing aesthetic, and 1 second we're playing a special stage. Seriously though, I love it. I love the idea of a city being themed around a studio with ticker boards and cameras and eventually like film wheels and all that. It's a really creative idea, and I like how it is essentially this game's equivalent of one of the, you know, urban city bumpers bumping you all over the place levels. That's my description for that level theme. I think the Sonic Wiki just refers to it as like the urban theme, and you know what? I'll just go with that. But you know, Spring Yard Zone, Casino Night Zone, Carnival Night Zone, you know the stuff. With this special stage, that one ring box that was at the end of this ramp cannot be obtained on the first lap because you need to build up Mach 2 in order to be able to grab it. I will be able to grab it this time, so I can ignore all those rings and keep focused on my objective. If you sway to the sides too much, the UFO will eventually get very far away from you, and if that happens, you could like spend forever catching up to it. It's not an immediate failure though. Failure only happens if you run out of rings or if you fall off the side. And running out of rings could potentially happen if the UFO stays that far ahead of you for long enough. So make sure to keep it in range, make sure to keep it, prioritize keeping the UFO near you. Don't go after too many, or stray rings too many often. That's what I was trying to say through all my stammering and whatnot. This one-up jingle. Easily the worst part of this game, in my opinion. This game gives so many rings throughout all of its levels that you will be hearing this one-up jingle all the time, and every single time it interrupts the amazing music playing, really kills the mood. I hate it. If there was a mode of this game that didn't have any lives and never played that jingle a single time, which, thinking about it, there might actually be part of the, and it's part of the DLC that I have and should probably play more of. Anyway, yeah. I hate the one-up jingle in this game is all you really need to know. I love those enemies too. They take a picture of Sonic and that's how they harm you. Right here we got the electric shield. No time to explain it though. We got a boss fight against our first hard-boiled heavy. Why are we fighting such a major antagonist as an Act 1 boss? I don't really get it. But anyway, it's an auto-scrolling stage. Gotta keep pushing forward in order to stay on the screen. Roll into the blue missiles, avoid the red ones. Every blue missile will take out one of the egg robots in the back. Gotta take them all out, including the Heavy himself, to win. This can be kind of a longer fight, especially because you have to wait for him to shoot the missiles. You have to wait through a lot of scenes in between. Once you hit the missile, you have to wait for the missile to actually hit the dude, and then yada yada. But I think the fact that this is like an auto-scrolling boss, that you're constantly running to the right side of the screen, it looks really intense the whole time. I think that makes up for the slow speed, in my opinion. Even though, you know, this isn't a terribly great Sonic boss, in my opinion, just because I feel like Sonic bosses should let you kill them at your own pace so that, you know, with your skill, you beat the boss faster, and thus the game faster. I feel like that should be a main part of Sonic games, and some bosses are designed against that for whatever reason. Whatever. At least this gives us time to admire the amazing background. Look at all the layers it has. As we go down, we see a train going by, which, by the way, has text on it that references Spring Yard Zone from Sonic 1. There's the upper parts with the awesome, like, cloudy sky and the sunset colors. There's the billboards. There's the Egg TV, all the city in the back. It's so great, man. You thought Sonic 3 was beautiful? It absolutely was for the Genesis, but holy shit, this game is like, I don't know what to compare this game to in terms of being beautiful. Anyway, that's that boss done. I do feel like that is a little bit, like, difficult of a boss for an Act 1 boss of a level, but what do I know about Sonic games? Designing them, I mean. I have an announcement to make. Shadow the Hedgehog's a bitch-ass motherfucker. He pissed on my fucking what? I'm sorry. I couldn't resist. All right. Studiopolis Zone Act 2. We are now inside a massive studio, keeping our electric shield from the first act. Time to explain what the electric shield does. It pulls in any nearby rings that you pass by, and as soon as the ring starts being pulled, no matter how far away you get from it, it will still make its way to you. It also protects you from electrical hazards. At least in Sonic 3 it does. I don't know of that many electrical hazards in this game, to be completely honest with you. You know what? I don't go down here enough. Let's go down. Into, oh shit, a minigame. Kind of a throwback to stuff like the slot machines in Casino Night Zone. This is a bingo machine. Drops a bunch of balls that decide how many rings you get from it. That'll give us those numbers added up and doubled, which results in 24. There's also an Eggman symbol ball in there. If you get that one, it takes away that number of rings from you. So let's hope you don't get that one. I would say try not to get that one, but I don't think you have much say in the matter. It is based off of the gambling mechanics after all. Lock on. There's these signs that you can unveil that have references to the Genesis and other such old Sonic culture memes, things like that. This level's filled with references. If I were to go over all of them, well, they would have to carry over to the next zone. There's that many of them. Get past you guys? Okay, I think I'm immune to their attacks because of the electric shield. That's true. Also, the electric shield's double jump ability is a double jump. Like so. It's great. I love the sound that plays as you double jump too, the cheer. And I like how it looks in this game. In Sonic 3, it was just all white, but now there's a tinge of blue in there. There's a tint of blue in there is what I meant to say. I think I said tinge on accident. Pulling all these rings, collect them all at once as we go through this thing, because for some reason you have ring collecting iframes. Bounce along, you guys. I've never been up there before, but I'll just keep going this way because it's what I'm used to. Excuse me, let me go. Oh my god, I love spin dashing into a red bouncer. You go so fast. A little detail, the ticker boards of the side of the level, which we might be seeing one of around here. Yeah, those show the time that you've been spending inside of the level on them. I've always liked that little detail. Second bingo machine, let's see how many we get. You can get so many rings from this level alone, and hear the one-up theme more times than you should. Thanks for the 1 times bingo ball. Hey, I'll take that. That was 42. Meaning of life. Rings are your life, after all. I don't think I've mentioned it up until now, but if you get hit and you don't have a shield equipped, you drop all your rings. Get hit with 0 rings in possession, and you die. That's the mechanics. I swapped out my electric shield unintentionally with the normal shield. This only protects you from damage and deflects projectiles like all the other shields do. Does not provide any other special effects aside from that. Now for the boss. I think you're gonna see why I think these 2 bosses should have been swapped. The 2 bosses of the zone should have been swapped, because this one is really simple and easy. In fact, I'm going to wait around and deliberately avoid killing him so I can show the attacks. There's the thunderstorm. Clouds appear above you. Just dodge to the side. When it's sunny, heat lamps come in. And Eggman becomes most vulnerable in this stage, but you can still hit him as he's floating around just by hitting him at the lower parts of his bobbing there. Here's the final attack, Wind. Cling onto one of these poles at the side in order to not be launched into the spikes that are off the screen up above us. And that's that. The degrees on that TV mean nothing. All right, this attack again. I like how the wanted posters are being flown by. I believe Studiopolis Zone is supposed to be the center of Eggman's new operations, where he is apparently spreading fake news about Sonic. I quite like that. Very fun and inventive level, and it ends with an amazing reference that I have to go over. Do you hear that buzzing sound coming from this TV? Notice the numbers on it, 072216. That is a date, specifically the date of a live stream where Sonic Mania along with Sonic Forces were first revealed at like some kind of Sega event. This live stream was infamous for having a terrible audio issue that caused that buzzing sound to play in the right ear for everyone watching at home. And they referenced it in the official game. I love that. You can tell this game was made by Sonic fans. By, like, you know, ultimate Sonic fans. Got so many points, damn. That is the best news I've heard since last week. I don't know. Flying Battery Zone returns from Sonic 3 and is better than ever. I always liked Flying Battery Zone in the original Sonic 3, but I do understand where people are coming from, that it's not really their favorite zone in that game, and it's kind of annoying for them. This one, though, I consider this one to be an absolute treat. They've For one thing, they've made it slightly less annoying considering it comes much earlier in the game. That only makes sense. I love how, by the way, Eggman has made badniks based on mice. I guess he welcomes mice into all of his facilities as long as they are robotic mice? I don't know. He's friends with the... I was gonna say he's friends with the mice, but no, he'd be friends with the robotic mice, which aren't really mice. I don't know. Right away, this level fixes one of my complaints with the original one, where, like, you drop in the bottom of that twirly thing over there, or you drop in from the top, and it no longer causes you to clip all the way through it to the bottom. That was one of my least favorite parts of the original Flying Battery Zone, and I'm so glad that they added that nice quality of life feature. There we go. I've just gotten a new power-up, or, well, sort of new. It debuted in Knuckles Chaotix. It was this blue ring. I'm gonna avoid that for a particular reason that I'll cover later. It was a blue ring that would cause, if next time you got hit and dropped your rings, you would drop them all as one massive ring that would give every single ring back upon being collected. Sonic Mania's is kind of the same way, except that it's multiple large rings that give you a huge chunk of the rings you once had upon being hit. Using that power-up, you can actually get, like, a 1-up from being hit. Hopefully I can show that off later, as we'll be getting into a later level. Ooh, that was a little risky. It's fine. We did it! This is gonna be the one and only time I pick up invincibility in this game. Enjoy the music while you can. My opinion, the invincibility theme from Sonic 2 is the best retro platformer invincibility theme ever. Don't at me. Hey-oh! I got to explain the fire shield. It grants immunity to fire and lets you dash forwards. Also, I may not say this clearly before, all shields will deflect small projectiles from enemies. That is a universal effect that every single one grants. The electric shield also has a special property in this level. With it equipped, the magnets there pull you up as well as all the other metal things. It was added in Sonic Mania. It did not exist in Sonic 3. That property of the shield did not used to exist. This special stage has been considered one of the hardest in this game, and I don't know if I fully agree, but it is kind of the hardest one for me because there's a very particular trick that I love to do that I'm not always able to do. I need to collect as many of these blue spheres as I possibly can in order to do it. Gotta collect these bits of 4. Hopefully I can get it in time. I'm letting this thing go a little ways away just so I can collect these spheres. Trust me, it's worth it. Okay, Mach 2. You want to have Mach 2 going into this section because then... boom, boom, boom! Instant Mach 3! No need to collect any more spheres! Love that! I love pulling that off. It lets you finish this so much quicker. Alright, we're catching up. I guess this one just has so many more obstacles, and, you know, when you're not used to the controls of these special stages, you're being hit by the obstacles all the time, but, that wasn't that bad. Why is that the hardest special stage exactly? Only 2 left. I like to collect these in the early game so we don't have these breaking the pace too much later on in the game. Back to Flying Battery Zone. Act 1 is definitely not my favorite of the 2 acts in this game, which, if you see my Sonic 3 playthrough, you'll know, nope, I'm not getting that life. We've heard that jingle enough already. Anyway, if you see my Sonic 3 playthrough, you know I have the opposite opinion about the original level. For some reason, I find it really hard to jump past these spikes. I'm not really sure why. Stand on this thing. I love how when this set piece was used earlier, they gave you, like, slopes along the sides of the walls that just let you skip it completely. Love that. Ooh, interesting blueprints you got here, Eggman. Anyway, what's this? This is a reference to that terrible, awful, no good, very bad, boss fight from Act 2 of the original Flying Battery Zone, where it was referencing the Wing Fortress Zone boss. This one is kind of like a magnet? Yeah, it pulls up junk from the environment and you're supposed to, it creates an enemy that you have to bounce off of in order to hit it. Which becomes much easier as the junk pile increases in height. Sorry for my cough there, unless I decided to cut it out. I don't know what I would have done with that. Would I have cut it out or would I have muted it? I guess we'll find out. I'll find out later. Once the pile's raised this high, yes, you can just hit it normally. If you have the electric shield, you can just double jump and hit it, double jump and hit it, double jump and hit it. Sadly, I lost it before that was possible. That's that. I don't know if you can actually get any bonus power-ups from this stage. That's something the goalpost can give you if it lands on the ground in a certain spot, can reveal new power-ups. I haven't found any yet, though. Let's hope that I do before the game is done. Flying Battery Zone Act 2. And to think that at the position of the game this is in, Sonic 3 had Carnival Night Zone. And look at me, I'm enjoying this choice of level way more than that stupid thing. Anyway. Start. Gotta wait on these things. Kind of slow, but the rest of the level makes up for that tenfold. Drop dash ahead, ride one of those things. Right through that. I've always loved how, like, Flying Battery Zone is kind of a mashup between Wing Fortress and Metropolis Zone from Sonic 3. And right here, you can see, not only are we going outside of the ship, but, screw you, invincibility, this music's awesome. It is now raining, because the Flying Battery has just gone underneath a layer of clouds, and now we are inside a storm. This provides a subtle wind effect whenever you're in the outdoor sections. You are slightly pushed back, I believe, and though that depends, depending on how intense the wind is. This isn't a very intense wind, but there are more intense winds later on. Okay, right here, you want to go this way. If you don't have the electric shield, go grab that one. Or what's coming up next, assuming you're on this route. Sonic Mania levels have like 3 to 5 different routes to go through as you progress through the level. And like all of them feature unique set pieces. I'll only be showing one route through the game, the route that I take the most often. But yeah, this game has a lot of replayability. There's a lot to see with these levels if you'd like to go and explore some of them. I've always just stuck to the same route every playthrough though, because to me that's the more fun way to play. I know this route better than I know any other route, so if I were to change up my route, I'd start to get really confused, and it leads to me getting hit and losing momentum and things like that. There's a switch to open that door. That door just, the door to the left, I mean, it just goes to a bubble shield, and I'd much rather have this. Okay, it's either a bubble shield or it's another blue ring. I can't remember. There we are. I guess I may as well take this invincibility, because I'm not going to have it for long. Grab that hidden ring in the ceiling, and then as you go through this door, if you have the electric shield, jump all the way up here to another special stage. That has to be one of my favorite special stage secrets in this game. It is so much fun jumping up there every single time. This special stage can be quite the pain as well. I think it's very long, and you're very confined to one particular path. You have to jump over those obstacles as best you can. You have to grab a lot of blue spheres, and it can take you somewhat off course. But again, I don't think it's that bad. You just have to know what blue spheres and what rings to ignore. Because, you know, stopping to collect every single thing you see along the way is not what you're supposed to do in these special stages. Because otherwise, the UFO will get too far away. As we do this, and admire the mushrooms in the background, these special stages, I may as well say, have a combination of many aspects of the previous classic Sonic game special stages. You have the odd fish and birds and weird decoration, psychedelic decoration from Sonic 1 stages, the UFO and the backdrops and the turning around a 3D space from Sonic CD's special stages, the need to collect rings and avoid the spike balls from Sonic 2 special stages, and the blue spheres collecting from Sonic 3 special stages. It's pretty cool in that way. I hope that I can, like, really cut this thing off. I love doing that. Sadly, I didn't do it as well this time. Aw, man. Normally, I'm able to beat that one without needing to get to Mach 3. It's fine. I'll make up for it in the 7th one. Back to this amazing level. I've never liked a thunderstorm so much more in my entire life. Was anyone else, like, deathly afraid of thunderstorms as a kid, or was that just me? I have to imagine there were more people afraid of thunderstorms than me. I mean, come on. They're pretty scary. Like, especially when you think that if you're outside in them, you could be struck by lightning at any time, and you have a higher chance of that happening than winning the lottery. Like, yeah, thunderstorms are pretty scary. I don't blame my younger self for being afraid of them. So, you know, like, I didn't like the big booms, especially on the super intense thunderstorms where it's literally sound like my neighborhood was blowing up sometimes. Anyway, thunderstorms in video games are just fine, of course. Here we go inside. I love that layer of clouds in the foreground there that's just going by all the time. You know what I'm saying here? I have 17 lives in level 8 of 24. I just spoiled how many zones are in this game. That's not a big spoiler. Can fly through those windows if you want, though it's kind of just a waste of time, especially that one. I think there might be one coming up that isn't. I like how they're using these poles for more like dedicated platforming sequences where you have to move your position on them. That's also actually reincorporated later in the level. Up here. I just love this setting so much. This is like leaps and bounds above the original Flying Battery Zone Act 2, which, you know, on top of being kind of an annoying level, was not that different from the first act, and not really that interesting in its own way either. This level absolutely is, though, and I love it for that. I also love this part. We're climbing down the front of the freaking airship. It's great. Also, if you're curious, Flying Battery is military slang for an airship. Or it's, well, it's some kind of slang for a military airship. Whatever combination of those words is true. Now we fight a spider! Does this actually trigger anyone with arachnophobia? If you have arachnophobia, let me know. Alright, want to climb on this pole, and then hit it into the spikes. You can actually do that a lot earlier than I showed there. Maybe I can try doing that. Oh yeah. As this next one comes on the left side, you can hit him into it from there. I never knew you could do that for the longest time until I discovered it on one of my recent playthroughs of the game. But yeah, it's a way you can make this fight go much faster. If you have the electric shield, his electric balls do not hurt you. I am now just remembering that there are a lot of electric hazards in this game, which you are immune to with the electric shield. That one just disappeared. It gave up. It didn't even want to try hitting me. There you go. I haven't actually counted how many hits you need to finish these guys off. As I said before, the usual count for how many times you need to hit Eggman's little drone to finish it off is 8, but it feels like in this game it's less than that most often. That's that. After the defeat, the spikes on the remaining walls are cleared, so you don't have to worry about them. I still stand in the middle just in case. That's Flying Battery. Incredible level. Cool bonus, by the way, is tracking how many times you get hit. You get 10,000 points if you don't get hit a single time throughout the act, like I did there. For every hit you take, it's minus 1,000 points. Sonic Mania's second original stage, and one of my favorites in the whole game, Press Garden Zone, hits us with a really nice, new, unique level concept. We're inside some, like, old castle that's been fashioned into a newspaper printing plant. And this castle is also in the middle of a very snowy environment we're going to be seeing more of in a bit. On top of that, we get hit and lose our shield, which I've never been hit there before, so I guess I just messed that up. That thing that they throw between each other is harmless when it's in one of their hands. It's only harmful when they're actually, like, actively throwing it. I like that idea for an enemy. They're playing catch, and if you get in the middle of it, you get hit. That's great. That's really creative. I'm gonna bounce off this. These rotating platforms return from Launch-Based Zone. I like the reincorporation here. I do think that this game could have used more original assets, but I mean, here's an original asset. Those letter boxes that pop out as platforms. I don't think all of them needed to have the letter T on them, but you know, it's something new. Got those doors. Very quick and easy to open. I actually don't want to go up there. I'm more used to going down this route. Love these spinny platforms too. I think these come from Sky Sanctuary Zone, and one of the enemies here has some interesting history. See if we run across them soon. Yes. Never mind. That bunny. The bunny's coming out of those pools of ink. This is a bunny known as Splats, and it was an unused enemy from Sonic 1's Green Hill Zone that now finally see purpose here. You want to jump across and hit that thing, hit that switch before touching the bottom of that and causing it to crunch itself in, because if you do that, you open the door to our last special stage. I like some of these special stage secrets. They're so well hidden. They're so creatively hidden. They're very memorable compared to some of Sonic 3's. Though I guess Sonic 3's are only not that memorable to me because for a long time I played only Sonic Mania and didn't play Sonic 3 for years. And so when I went back to that game, I was out of practice and couldn't remember where most of the special stages were. One of the reasons why I didn't bother trying to go for them in my recent playthrough. This last special stage shouldn't be too bad. Its main source of challenge is that there are no longer any bumpers on the sides, so if you run off the sides here, you don't get any second chances. You're done. You have to try it all over again. But as you can see, I am, like, super good with rings. I'm almost all the way to Mach 3, and this UFO is insanely close to me, so yeah, this is not a very hard special stage to end us off. I like those weird, like, Eye of Sauron planets in the distance, though. Sonic got all Chaos Emeralds. Now Sonic can be Supersonic, if the player wants him to be. I am not going to transform into Supersonic, however. Sorry, but again, Supersonic has a special music track that starts playing, and I want the game's main music to play most often, so sorry about that. As you can see, though, up in the corner, if you jump and then press whatever button is up there, for me it's W, for you it might be a controller button, you will transform into Supersonic. I will show what that's like later, towards the end of this video. So don't worry, you will get your Supersonic build. Draw this, right on this super fun platform, jump across the decaying bridges, get tons of points from that, almost enough for another thing. Every 50,000 points you get to your score gives you an extra life. That's the only thing score does. And with the amount of lives you're going to be getting running through this game normally, well, actually, to be fair, like, I'm pretty good at this game, and I don't think you get nearly as many lives on your first playthrough. That was my experience with it anyway, but still. With the amount of lives I'm going to be getting throughout this playthrough, I have absolutely no need of that. And once again, it just serves to kill the vibe sometimes. See? I was loving the music, I was loving the momentum, and then I love this part. Just going all over the place. For one frame there, off to the right, you could see a weird tree thing that is present on some routes throughout the level, but I didn't see them at all, so I guess I may as well show it here. This guy is pretty fun. He's got saw blades made of glass. They tear through the blue boxes easily, but these reinforced green and orange ones shatter the glass, and he waves his hand. Like he's injured. I love it. And then it mysteriously grows. I guess there's like a furnace that's constantly smelting sand inside of those arms. Not really sure. Jump and then finish you off. Cool nod to Angel Island Zone. Normally the goalpost comes from where the boss dies, but here, not the case. Ooh! There we go. That's a power-up I can give. Last thing to touch on with cool bonus, if you die at any point in the level, your cool bonus is set to 0 and you cannot recover it. You die in the level, you are no longer cool. Act 1 was the press, and now we're in the garden. Man, I love this stage. I like it because it's a snow and ice level that has a brand new aesthetic put over it. Ice Cap Zone, as much as I loved it, was kind of just a basic snow level at the end of the day. It was just a bunch of snow and ice with a very cool looking background and amazing music with interesting history behind it, but still. Then this one comes in with the pink, I want to say, sakura trees or cherry blossoms, whatever they're based on. They look amazing. Oh man, I love that they also reuse the enemies from Mushroom Hill Zone. They somehow fit in really well here. Got these ice blocks to break through. There was a fire shield you could obtain in the previous act, but I chose to skip over it because the fire shield has a special property in this level. If you have it equipped and touch the ice, it melts. And that makes some parts a little weirder to go through, in my opinion, so I chose to just stay with the original boring shield. Sometimes the original boring shield is what you need. Sometimes having a shield that inflicts a special property could make a level harder in some ways. That's how I think it is with Flying Battery Zone. Act 1, where if you grab the electric shield right underneath those magnets, it actually makes that part harder and, like, slower to get through, in my opinion. I'm gonna be showing, like, so much different footage on the screen as I talk about areas of the game where, as I keep rushing past them, I'm like, you know, that one area I breezed through 12 minutes ago, you remember that one? So yeah, gonna have to be including a bunch of visual examples. I love these woodpeckers. They peck the trees and they drop bombs. This game has so many cool ideas for enemies, even if their life expectancy is only like 12 seconds whenever Sonic is around. Those guys drop snow bombs on you. They will freeze you. Being frozen in this game does not hurt you, unlike Ice Cap Zone, though. I prefer to wait there. There's a stray projectile from a set of enemies back there that I get hit by if I go any sooner. In other news, the next Hardboil Heavy is fighting us in the proper act of the level, may I say. This is Heavy Shinobi. I don't remember if I said the other one's name. That one was Heavy Gunner. You want to stun him as he's jumping, which will open him up for hits. Otherwise, he will hit you away with his ice sword. Remember that ice being frozen with ice does not mean being hit. He also throws down these Ninja Stars, which are actually the Asteron badniks from Metropolis Zone in Sonic 2 that release projectiles in all directions. I love that reincorporation, or that reinterpretation, rather, that they're being used as weapons. That's really cool. I always like the enemies in Metropolis Zone, but I can definitely agree that that level isn't the best. Wow, I did that no damage. I usually never do that no damage. Glad to have this on camera then. That's Press Garden. I'm sad it's over already. I think this is the best original stage in this game. At least it's the most original, in my opinion. Now, let me tell you about my least favorite classic Sonic game, that being Sonic CD, which Stardust Speedway Zone comes from. I don't like Sonic CD mainly for the levels and how weird they are with level design. To me, aside from like 2 zones in the game, which would be... Oh, that was embarrassing. Which would be Palm Tree Panic and Tidal Tempest, every Sonic CD level feels like you're bouncing around in a popcorn machine. You're just kind of flung all over the place, and like the levels feel so scatterbrained in their design that they feel like they were designed by a random generator more than a human. I hate to be that kind of... Yeah, sorry for being disrespectful for the level designers there. I do apologize for that. I'm sure there is some genius in that design, but still. That's just how the levels felt to me, and Stardust Speedway was one of my least favorite, if not my least favorite zone in that game for that exact reason. That it was just kind of being flung all over the place without much like thought or a flow behind it, and you could get stuck in so many areas of it. It was really one of my least favorite levels to go through playing that game, and so I was kind of nervous to see that Sonic Mania brought it back. However, I had no reason to be nervous. This incarnation of the level is awesome. And as you can see, we have a set piece from Marble Garden Zone as well that gives you time to see it coming and react to it. Wow, isn't that a concept? Marble Garden Zone? Are you listening? Might want to take notes if you ever get remade or whatever. Anyway. They managed to take elements of 2 zones from Sonic games that I didn't like, Stardust Speedway and Marble Garden, and somehow transform them into a zone that I absolutely love from this game, particularly for the music. I adore the music in this zone. I'm gonna let you listen to it here. God fucking damn it, 1-up theme! Nice and groovy, and also very calming for Sonic standards. The mid-boss is a bigger version of these little Firefly enemies that have been appearing around us. I also love what they've done with the Firefly enemies. They're a really fun idea. You gotta, like, get out of the way of them fast enough. I mean, most of them could just be ignored if you're going through the level at any pace at all, but still. Alright, big guy reappears after those small guys. Get some hits on him. And, oh, damn it. Yeah, no, I think he's on the final hit there. Normally I'm able to one-cycle him with that, but not this time. These 2 guys are a reference to one of the rooms where like you're locked inside and you have to fight the Firefly guys in order to win. I think that's in Metallic Madness Zone, though, not Stardust Speedway, interestingly. That's that first level. I absolutely love it. I cannot believe how they managed to transform some of my least favorite levels from classic Sonic games into one of my favorites in Mania. It's awesome. We've traveled to the future, and in the future, all is tuba. I'm not even gonna talk through this level. I'm gonna let you enjoy the amazing atmosphere. One of the best things I can say about Sonic Mania, it finally gave me a reason to love Stardust Speedway Zone. Man, that person looked familiar, didn't they? Hey, animals! I freed you, apparently! Hello, old friend! Just as he was the boss of the original level in Sonic CD, he is the boss of this one. It is not Silver Sonic, not Mecha Sonic, but Metal Sonic! Try to keep all those names in mind, I dare you, it's very confusing. It starts off, this phase is a multi-phase battle, and it starts off with a linear chase, I guess, kind of sequence. He can attack like that, he can also zoom in from the sides of the screen. I'd like to show off his attacks if he wants to do them. Yes, there we go. He's got one more attack, hopefully he uses it. Maybe not, maybe he's feeling a little shy about it. Yeah, he's feeling a little shy about it. Well, there's always time. Then, this phase. He unleashes this little guy, which is Silver Sonic from the Game Gear / Master System version of Sonic 2. Yeah, that obscure gem. Alright, this little version of Sonic has two different attacks. It's either rolling at you or flinging himself to one side of the room. If you stomp on him, or if you squish him like normal, I want to show... Fine, okay. He splits into 4 projectiles. Those can be used to hurt Metal Sonic as well. Now onward we go. I'm gonna slow down a bit, give you some time, show off your final move. There it is! Comes at you swinging like that. That's about it, really. Got a checkpoint here. Checkpoint mid-boss battle. Shows how long this is, because we're not done yet. Eggman has granted Metal Sonic the power of the Phantom Ruby, and now he turns into a form resembling his super form from Knuckles Chaotix. I love these references from all over the place. They work super well. Even if you don't understand them, they work super well. This phase of the fight used to be completely different in older versions of Sonic Mania. This was instead a Metal Sonic chasing after you with a wall of spikes, and you'd have to try and hit Metal Sonic as he went. He didn't transform into this form at all. This form was added with Sonic Mania Plus, along with the release of the Encore Mode DLC and the 2 extra characters, which I'll briefly mention at the end. Just want to time your attacks between the hands. Simple enough. It's a huge battle, but I like that, because we've just reached the halfway point of the game, so it makes perfect sense. Aww, I wanted to take that for myself. That enemy cannot hurt you, nor you it. Now, while the giant Eggman statue stares at me, thus ends the first half of Sonic Mania. Notice how I have yet to complain about any level so far. This game's amazing. Well, wasn't that an interesting little blueprint he had there? Also, yeah, by the way, no, not the water level again. It's Hydrocity, I can't complain. Of course the fan-favorite water level would return, because this is the only water level that they would be able to return and have it be well-received. I mean, Aquatic Ruin Zone, though. Anyway, Hydrocity Zone from Sonic 3 returns, and... if I may be honest, as much as I enjoy it, just as much as I enjoy the original level, I do think it's the weakest returning zone out of them all. And I'm not entirely sure why, just Sonic 3's Hydrocity Zone felt a lot more like high energy and lively to me than this one does, and oh no, that's an issue. I haven't been down this route before. Well, woe is me, let's see what this is about. Everything I've said before about water is true. Grab these air bubbles, and your oxygen supply will be refilled to the usual 30 seconds. I've never seen this part of the level before. I don't know where I am right now, but we're gonna explore it together. Okay, here's a new mechanic introduced in Sonic Mania's version, this bubble. If it touches a wall, it'll pop. If you press the jump button, it'll also pop. You want to use the arrow keys to move it. I'm pressing up right now, the up direction. Okay, drain the water, drain the water. Believe it also gives you oxygen. Or don't drain the water at all. Sure, whatever you wanted. Where is this? Can I get back to familiar territory, please? I don't like this. I don't like this. Bring me back somewhere I know. Okay, I'll find it out eventually. Yeah, if those sharks weren't so dickishly placed up here, maybe I wouldn't have been hit there. Okay, I think we're fine. Yes, we're at new land, finally. All right. And back down we go. But this is a place I remember. Okay, I don't want to grab that bubble. I just want to go right to this thing because it is lined up perfectly so that we can get it the first time, and I'm about to enter this bubble right afterwards, which fills your oxygen supply anyway. Travel upwards. I'm not exactly sure how Sonic's controlling this. He's just kind of like tapping the sides of it a little bit and thumping his feet against the bottom, and apparently that's working, so whatever. Here's a boat as well, stand at the edges to make it go faster. That was also not on the original level, and my cool bonus is going to be lower than average here. I mean, seriously, lower than average. I don't think I've taken more than one hit in the level so far. That's how much I've played this game. Or how much of my life I've wasted on this game, more accurately. Hold this. These switches that change water level were also not present in the original. And I think this is one of the reasons why this is one of the weaker zone implementations to me, is that they introduce all the new stuff in Act 1, and Act 2 doesn't really get anything. You'll see when we get that far. It really doesn't get anything. Though I do think it's interesting that it has a whole theme of reversal, where, as you can see, the background is resembling the background of Hydrocity Act 2 from Sonic 3. And there's a little bit more of that theme going forwards that we're going to be seeing. At least the music wasn't one of those part of that theme. Man, can I talk? Yes, I've talked fine so far. This thing also kind of acts as a shield, deflecting those projectiles. I don't feel like killing them. If you feel like going on a kill all badniks run, by all means, go right ahead. I will not be one of them, though. There's Eggman in a diving suit. There's me failing to execute a spin dash for the umpteenth time this freaking recording. What is with me in doing that? By Minecraft logic, I would think that would be extremely ineffective, but by Terraria logic, it works just fine, so hey. I don't know which game to believe. I assume explosions work fine underwater, it's just that, they aren't, like... They're muffled a lot by the water itself. I don't know. Do explosions help destroy things underwater? Probably. It's probably a very common fact that this happens and that Minecraft is the only thing in existence that gets that wrong, and that I'm an idiot for not knowing it any sooner. Anyway, theme of reversal carries into this boss fight. As you can see, we are now controlling Eggman's boss fight from the original Hydrocity Act 2 right here. You press one of the jump buttons to turn on the fan, and you press the down button on the D-pad to drop a bomb. You can use the bombs to destroy his own bombs that he's laying, and then when there are no bombs around, you're perfectly safe to draw him up. It takes a lot longer to draw Eggman into the whirlwind than it takes to draw one of the bombs in, so that's basically the main challenge with this fight. Otherwise, pretty easy, only takes 4 hits. Yeah, he's down in an instant. Pretty fun idea for a boss, I must say, and a pretty good one too. I like being able to chain together, like, perfect whirlwind catches, whatever they'd be called in that situation, because it just feels nice, you know? 8,000. I'd actually be surprised if that's the lowest cool bonus I've gotten so far. Hydrocity Act 2. It is the same stupid fun level that it was in the original game, and I do really enjoy it. But because of just a few things about it, I feel like it's not as fun as the original level. For one thing, as you can see, the backdrop is now representing, or now reminiscent of the backdrop for Act 1 of the original Hydrocity, and I always preferred Act 2's backdrop myself. Even though Act 1's backdrop introduces the 3D water effect that's really cool looking, and, you know, works really well for this level. Like you can see as we approach water, eventually, some point soon we will approach water. Yeah, right here. You can see that? I love that 3D water effect. It looked great on the Genesis, still looks pretty good here, though maybe we could use a little bit of touching up. I don't really care. Why am I so bad at executing spin dashes today? Gonna use this to bounce up past those guys, because that's the safest way to go past those guys. If you were to spin dash up that slope, you can sometimes be thrown right into their spikes. It's not always fun, so I definitely prefer bouncing with a bubble shield. I think, though, the main reason why I think this is the weakest returning zone, or the weakest, like, you know, reimagining of a zone, and how I slightly prefer the original zone, is because Act 2 doesn't do anything new. In fact, the boats, the water level changing, all of that stuff is not present anymore. It's been removed. We're now just back to the original zone again. That, plus the less interesting looking backdrop, and the music also being not exactly... It's being similar to Chemical Plant Zone, and it not being my favorite thing compared to the original version of the song. It makes this a slightly weaker level than its original incarnation. But even if I might harp on about this at length, I still really love this level, and it makes for a great fun time. It's just that if there's any point in Sonic Mania where I feel a little bit of fatigue, it tends to be this level. Still though, I don't feel very much fatigue at all, because it's kind of hard for me to feel fatigued of a game that lasts 2 hours. I got some comments on that Sandopolis video saying, like, you know, by the time you reach Sandopolis, it's just such a long stage, and you've already gone through so much of the game, and I'm like, the game lasts 2 hours, what do you mean? But it lasts 2 hours when you know it, and you know the game very well, but when you don't know the game very well, you're probably playing in a save file, in which case, the length of time wouldn't matter anyway, because you just pause the game and come back another day. So, I don't know. Anyway. While I'm going through this whirling fun of a level, perfect descriptor me, I may as well tell you about another fun fact with older versions of Sonic Mania. Some of the stage transitions we've been seeing, the zone transitions I mean, originally weren't present. That's a 9,000 cool bonus for me. Namely, one of them was the transition from Stardust Speedway to Hydrocity. Originally, it pulled a Sonic 1 or 2 and just faded out the screen, and then suddenly you were in Hydrocity Zone now with no explanation. But the weird thing was that they did have stage transitions throughout the game, it's just some zones didn't. And that was very strange. Thankfully, they addressed that in the Sonic Mania Plus DLC. They added them back in. My guess is they wanted to have the stage transitions there from the first place, but Sega must have given them a tight deadline. It's kind of a shame that even in 2017, when this game came out, Sonic can't escape tight deadlines, making aspects of it weaker. I hate deadlines. The deadlines in the freaking gaming industry, they freaking suck. Anyway, the boss fight. Completing the theme of reversal with Hydrocity Zone and Sonic Mania. This will eventually be based off of the Act 1 boss of the original zone. Right now, though, this is a brand new phase introduced in Sonic Mania. All you gotta do is use the up and down keys, or the up and down on the D-pad, to hit these bombs, and then get out of the way of them to make sure they touch Eggman, and not you. If you don't have the bubble shield, each one will release an air bubble for you. However, I very much recommend having the bubble shield. It makes this boss so much less painful. So let me do this. Yeah, you get a bubble shield right towards the end of the level, so I went out of my way to get it, and I recommend you do the same, because it is real nice. Doesn't matter which path you go down, they're very little different. One of them might be slightly harder, whatever, who cares. Now Phase 2! Now it's reminiscent of the Act 1 boss. What you want to do is jump and... oh no... okay, good, okay. Now he's probably going to come down from the left, yep. If he's allowed to do that phase again, he can come down from either side. Okay, bounce and hit, bounce and hit. Then for this phase, I like to hit the direction opposite of where Sonic's currently moving. So right, left, right, and then that gets me in perfect position to take out the rest of his health. The bubble shield makes this fight so much so much more painless. It's not really like painful to do it without, but you know. I believe I wanted to show that off in the original fight as well, but sadly I think I lost the bubble shield before I could. Or I lost the bubble shield early in the fight and couldn't. Now we're not underwater for this entire results screen, so you're not feeling anxious the whole time. How did we get here? We were way underground in that tunnel. Why are we above a desert now? Tails, where is this? Explain yourself. Anyway, we're currently being attacked by Heavy Magician in our new... hold on, sorry, stammering. In what is the third original zone that Sonic Mania brings forth to the table. Hit the birds here. As you can see, Act 1, when you play as Sonic or Tails at least, is supposed to be a callback to Sky Chase Zone from Sonic 2. Sky Chase Zone isn't everyone's favorite thing because it is an auto-scrolling level in a Sonic game where the whole point is that you can beat the game super fast and that you should try playing it again so you can beat the game even faster, and then suddenly you have this level late in the game that makes you go at one specific speed and you cannot beat the level any faster. I don't really get this design, but I guess I can understand wanting to call it back. It was a classic level after all. It even brings back the three enemies but in slightly different forms. These guys, I think, are a little more aggressive, or no, they start out as the tops of flowers, and then you get close to them, and they reveal themselves to be enemies. Quite like that. And then the birds home in on you more, and the turtles are replaced with armadillos. That's about it, really. Actually, no, I think the main difference is, you get a shield this time, nice. Because there's actual land here, you're not in the middle of the sky. I think these guys repeatedly shoot, yes, they repeatedly shoot, unlike the Sky Chase turtles, which would only shoot once. I do like to challenge myself to see if I can kill every enemy in this level. Looks like that's not happening, though. Nah, it's not happening. I missed that one. It's a fun challenge to go for. I think I only did it successfully once, though, so that's how hard it is. Anyway, you may have noticed that Knuckles was with us at the plane at the beginning, but then he got bumped off by Heavy Magician. More on that later. In the meantime... this train is so boring. Why is there a cutscene showing us the train? Can't I do the moving myself? Says Sonic right now. I like his idle animation in this game. He has a different one in every classic Sonic game, and I thought I would show it off here. I think there's like a really subtle one in Sonic 2. He's like holding out his arm as if he's checking a watch. I think that's the only difference between it and Sonic 1's, but it's a nice little subtle difference. And then from there, his idle animations have been different in every game. And I like how Mania continues that trend. I like these big pistols that launch you back up into the air, and then Tails rushes over to catch us. Man, this plane can go super fast when it wants to. Why isn't it going that fast all the time? And maybe it uses up too much fuel. Now Heavy Magician has 6A Caterkiller Ultimate on us. Reference to that one enemy from Sonic 1. It leaps in from the background, and as a result, its hitboxes are a little strange. It can also go to the side like this and leap from the front, where its hitboxes are a lot more consistent. Alright, when it leaps in from the background, which I hope that it does again eventually one of these times, it'll either only leap once or it'll leap in a combo of 3 like it did that one time. I'm gonna avoid hitting it so that I can show that. Come on. No, buddy. Buddy. I don't know what the chances are for this to happen. Seems like I'm very unlucky so far. Really? Okay, fine, I'll hit you this time if that's what you really want. I think you get the idea. The combo of 3 I did at the beginning, just pretend he does one of those, and yeah, that's it. I killed him from off screen. This guy's death animation is really funny. If he's on screen, he like freezes completely as you land the final hit. It's great. And now, the sign floats in the air, resting on something down there. Wonder what that could be. 10,000 cool bonus. I didn't take a hit. I usually never do that in this level. That's a face I thought we'd never see again. That character that shoots down your plane can be one of 3 who we will be seeing in greater detail later. They are some long-lost Sonic characters that Sonic Mania chose to bring back in a nice little way. Now, Mirage Saloon Zone Act 2, which is no longer a Sky Chase-like level and is more a traditional level. I have to say, this is probably my least favorite zone in Sonic Mania, and I hate to say that because it's one of the only original zones in the game, yet it's just the truth of the matter. I love the aesthetic. The aesthetic is based off of the cut zone from Sonic 2 called Sand Shower Zone, Shand Sour. And I really like the idea of trying to bring that back in a new form here, and adding stuff like these guns and those set of spikes to it. I like the Casino Night pinball things being brought back as, like, bird faces there. I like those water spritzers that create temporary platforms. I like those wanted posters in the back. I like this guy. It's kind of like a Knuckles version of that fake Sonic from Spring Yard Zone. I like the pianos you bounce on. However, how they're used in the level is what I have a problem with. This level, I think, brings back Sonic CD a little too much. I see a fire shield there, and I actually kind of want to know how to get it, but no, this is the wrong way. This is the wrong way. I shouldn't be going this way. Back on track. It just feels like the level design is all over the place. You're being bounced everywhere. There's no real rhyme or reason to what's going on. And on top of all this, another problem I have with Sonic 3's levels, it's insanely easy. Like, you just go in a straight line, being bounced around the entire time, and eventually the level just ends abruptly. And yeah, it doesn't get enough time to really, like, show how fun it can be. Like, for instance, we're at the end of the level now. Less than 2 minutes in, and we're right here at the end. I guess one of the worst thing I could say about a Sonic Mania level is that it's too short. That goes to show that Sonic Mania is freaking great. But yeah, overall, Mirage Saloon Zone, probably my least favorite zone in this game. But you know what isn't my least favorite boss? The fight against Heavy Magician. She transforms into the 3 long-lost Sonic characters from a Sonic spin-off. This guy is Fang the Sniper. Dodge past his bullets and hit him in order to bring Heavy Magician back into her normal form and be stunned. This guy is... that was dumb. Bean the Dynamite, I want to say. He throws bombs, just jump above, and there you go. Not too bad. The final character, drumroll please, Bark the Polar Bear. You can hit his back when he starts pounding the ground and launching that stuff at you. And that's his weak spot, simple as that. You can either jump into it or roll into it, whichever you prefer. She still has 2 more hits left, and in those 2 hits, she transforms back into Fang the Sniper. Fang can be really hard to dodge if he shoots the bullets down low on this plane. It's really hard to jump over them, but hopefully that won't happen, and you'll be able to take him out painlessly, like so. I did get hit during the fight, sadly. It's one of the harder fights to no damage in this game, but it was a pretty decently challenging fight. I suppose the level was short because that fight's a little longer than the average for all those animations. Fun fight, though, and, you know, pretty good level. It's not the worst zone in any classic Sonic game. I can think of many other contenders for that, but just in the fact that it's so over and done with so quickly before it has a chance to shine, I think it is my least favorite zone in this game. It could be worse. Could be Sandopolis, am I right? Speaking of Sandopolis, kind of, I guess. Oil Ocean Zone returns from Sonic 2 in what is possibly the most unexpected zone return of them all. I don't think anyone expected to see this level. All the other zones used in this game are very well-known, very fan-favorite levels, but Oil Ocean is not one of them. That said, I have always liked Oil Ocean. I've never had a problem with it. I've liked its aesthetic with the... Ooh, you get to see the blue ring in action there. Oh, okay, well, we didn't really get to see it in action for long, but, you know, if I collected more of those, I would have gotten more rings back. I think you get the idea. Wow, terrible start. Anyway, Oil Ocean Zone. I've always loved the aesthetic. I've always loved the orange backdrop with the purple platforms and the green, like, tubes and pipes. Just all the weird colors thrown together. I've loved the sea of oil at the bottom, and I have good memories of those seahorses being the most jump-scare-ish enemies in any game I played at the time. They're much better here since this game's in widescreen, unlike the original Sonic 2, but yeah. I guess as I have so many good memories with Sonic 2 that I have somewhat of a nostalgia bias for it, I will fully admit that. Right there you just saw, yep indeed, the fire shield has a special property in this level. Rolling through oil with it equipped will cause the oil to light on fire. Since you are immune to fire with the fire shield on, doesn't do anything to you directly unless you were to be hit by spikes directly into it, and then it would hurt you, but most of the time when you light something on fire in this level, it doesn't do anything. Let's hit both of you, and zoom forwards! Glad I kept my use of the shield there. I also like those things. Dodging past them can be pretty fun. Like, if you want to sit there and wait to get past them, you can, but if you, react to them and, like, master the controls of this game, you can jump right past them in an instant. I don't know. I've always really liked Oil Ocean Zone. I don't think I understand most of the hate for it, but maybe that's a video for another time. Maybe I can make the most overly hated level in Sonic 2 video. Now, that would probably be Metropolis Zone. Even then, I wouldn't say the level's overly hated. It does deserve the criticism still, you know. Oh, God, you know what I mean. I think Oil Ocean deserves better treatment than this. I like how that seahorse is, like, leading its shot, but because you're being stopped by the fan, it just kind of shoots on the opposite side of the fan and doesn't hit you. Here's our Act 1 boss, Joshua from Engineering. I don't know, that's just what this guy is. He throws this big wrench at you, very easy to avoid. His main attack, however, is this. It'll light all these things aflame. If you're on any of the outer ones, you'll be hit by the spikes. And in past versions of Sonic Mania, you'd be instantly killed by the spikes. No longer, though. And that's that. That was the least impactful final hit on a boss I've ever had. I went through him. Well, can Sonic drown in this too? We might want to find an air bubble quick. Keep my cool bonus there in mind for later. It's going to be a little important. Oil Ocean Zone Act 2. This is the reason why I brought up Sandopolis just before this zone. This brings back some of the features from Sandopolis Zone. As you can see, we start with those piles of oil that you have to spam jump up through. Kind of like the falling sand from that level. I already have this shield. Why did I bother doing that? And now as you can see, the screen is filling up with smoke. This is Sonic Mania's version of the ghost mechanic. Want to hit one of these switches to clear it. Are you clearing the smoke? No idea. Someone interpreted it as being like you opening up vents. Sure, I guess that works. Interesting how the vertical oil isn't being affected by the fire shield, but the oil already on the ground is. Interesting. Anyway, spam jump up this. The smog is nowhere near as threatening as the ghosts can be because the smog does not actually hurt you directly. It merely lowers your rings, and even if you run out of rings when it's in full blast, it won't do anything to you still. Is this a fire shield? Yes, it sure is. I don't think sinking in this oil too far will kill you. Sinking in the oil on the bottom of the level will, though, so careful of that. It's probably one of the Waynes to die here. The Sonic is now SCP-457. I don't know. I guess. You're seeing here that I am hitting these switches like nobody's business. These switches are everywhere. Studiopolis Act 2 already had pretty common switches, but this is something else. You can barely go 2 feet without having a switch. I guess, like, the smog can be annoying because it clouds up the screen, kind of makes it harder to see, but I don't know if I fully agree with that. It's still somewhat easy to see, somewhat, but, you know, not being able to see is the main threat, and it's what you want to avoid, but, like, with the switches being this common, I gotta be honest, it's not that hard to just get to the next switch and then clear up the screen. Alright, oh yeah, okay, these guys, perfect timing for me to lose my fire shield there. These guys, when killed, will drop a piece of fire in the oil and light it up. That is probably the only time you'll be attacked by a fire, by the fire in this level unintentionally. I kind of like how they transformed this level into a fire level based on that, a fire-themed level based on that. Another new feature in Mania's Oil Ocean reimagining are these submarines. You go inside of them and you get taken to a little sub-level area. This is something the classic Sonic games never did, so it's kind of interesting to see this here. You go inside a little section, and then you immediately launch back out because Sonic remembers that he's not Mario, and that he shouldn't stop trying to copy him. Or something. I don't know. That's just an explanation I came up with on the fly. Don't know if that's the true one. If you don't press any buttons there, you will get those rings every time. There's also a 1-up underneath the rings, like you need that. I'm very sorry that I'm going to pass up that life and go into the remaining stages with 31 lives instead of 32. I hope you can forgive me. Going in the submarine will also reset the smog back to 0, so yeah, even less of a threat. And by the way, we're at the end of the level, basically, so it's nowhere near as long as Studiopolis Act 2 either. There were still some people who didn't like Oil Ocean Zone Act 2, and I think it's more for the Oil Ocean set pieces than the Studiopolis mechanics, because I cannot imagine that the smog is, like, the one reason why everyone hates this level, because, like, it is no issue at all. Anyway, I do want to go in those bonus stages someday, but I guess that someday will have to wait. The boss is a reimagining of the boss from the original zone, as you could probably guess. He is now inside of a giant octopus that resembles the octopus badniks throughout this level. He pops up for a little bit, being vulnerable for a while, and then that thing launches at you, you just duck, and then this thing comes down and shoots 2 lasers at you, you duck, or you jump if it shoots at the platform. Then, from every subsequent surfacing, not submerging, he is joined by those 2 turrets, which is a reference to the Act 1 boss of Reef Zone in Sonic 3. Quite like that. They're like combining Sonic bosses into one thing. That is one thing about this game that I do really like, how they combine various aspects of the previous Sonic games into the zone themes. Alright, we should have this down pat in just a little bit. I will say the Fire Shield can definitely make this ending disorienting, and I'd be really careful when jumping here. I have had times where I beat the boss, and then as I was, like, jumping to stay afloat in the oil, I accidentally hit the thing twice, and I zoomed underneath the platform as it was coming out, and then sank into the oil and died. I've had that happen before, and it never felt great. So, you paid attention to my cool bonus. At the end of Act 1, I had 8,000. I got hit once during this level, so I should have 9,000, since this is a new level, and I took 1 hit. Instead, I have 7,000. It carried over my penalty from Act 1. That's a weird bug that happens in Oil Ocean Zone, and I believe also Press Garden Zone. If I had to guess, it's because the transition cutscene loads in Act 2 before the Act 1 results screen. Not really sure if that's the case. In other news, welcome back, Reverie Zone. Nice to see you again. Reverie Zone comes back from Sonic 3 and is better than ever, as usual. In general, I prefer the Sonic Mania versions of zones to their original versions, with the sole exception of Hydrocity Zone. That one I think is slightly weaker just for Act 2 not really being as exciting. In addition to that, the Act 2 of Hydrocity, or like, you know, Hydrocity Act 2 already kind of had its role taken from it by Chemical Plant Zone, and so it's just kind of redundant at that point. Anyway, look at that backdrop. It is incredible. I already liked the one from Lava Reef in the original game, but oh my god, this one. I love the darker colors, I love how the magma looks, and in the foreground, those fences have been added. The chain link fences with the barbed wire on top, I love that too. Also, subtle change with this level. Ooh, okay, that's a... The lava comes from below, whereas in Sonic 3 it comes from above. I never noticed that until now. Here's that drill guy. First of all, you can see these things return from Hilltop Zone in Sonic 2. Hilltop was one of the only levels in Sonic 2 to feature lava, so that makes sense. They're like kind of combining the level themes, as you can see here. I love collecting those rings like that. It's so fun. Normally I'm able to grab all of them in one perfect motion, but that time didn't really go so well. Gonna jump up this, or spin dash up that, and what was I gonna say? Oh yeah, the fireball shooting from the walls there. This one. Listen. That's the same fireball sound effect from Sonic 1, specifically the Marble Zone. That's a very subtle way of incorporating an element of Sonic 1 into this stage, taking Sonic 1's main lava level and kind of giving a nod to it. I quite like that. This secret area now actually goes somewhere, unlike Sonic 3, where it just takes you back and you have to go the other way instead. I have an electric shield. I mainly just use it to grab the rings from those sections because it's really satisfying, and then I end up giving up on it later because, well, you know... Fire Shield is much better for the lava level, I'm sure you could guess that. Alright, any other facts I want to talk about here? Not really sure. Nah, I'd rather just keep going. I've decided I think I'm gonna cover the bonus stages in my bonus topics at the end of the video, which will include various things such as Supersonic, and a brief look into the other characters. And, something else, I don't know. It'll include something else, trust me. Man, I love this part. I think all these wooden platforms are new, and they fit in with the zone's aesthetic just fine. I also love how you can like go to the surface and you see those volcanoes in the background, and they look gorgeous as always, just like the rest of the level. And the music is an absolute banger too, I guess. Here, have a listen to it. It's great. I love how it loops the ending part twice. The Sonic 3 version of that track just feels a little incomplete without it once you hear this one for long enough. This guy is based off of the drill enemy from earlier in the level, or the enemy. It wasn't an enemy, it was just like a cutscene. At first, you cannot harm it in any way. You instead have to wait for it to drill 3 times as it slowly breaks its armor on its own. And while it's drilling, you have to dodge stalactites coming in from the ceiling. I like to walk back and forth to give myself momentum, which makes them easier to dodge. From here, the boss is kind of weird with hit detection. Sometimes I've hit the side of it and it's hurt me instead of actually, you know, hitting the boss like it's supposed to. Whenever you make it bounce on this, it'll jump 3 times and then launch one of the spike balls behind you. That's basically it. Kind of a weird boss, but it's done and over with quickly, unlike most of the bosses from Sonic 3, which can overstay their welcome a lot of the times, especially Lava Reefs. That's one of the things that's definitely been improved about Mania. Mania's Lava Reef, I mean. You know what else has been improved? I loved Lava Reef Zone in Sonic 3. It's my favorite zone in that game. But we're not even at the best part yet. The original Lava Reef Zone Act 2 was already beautiful, but somehow they managed to make it look even better. My breath was literally taken away when I first saw that view at the start of the level. It is amazing. I always pause to look at it as I go by on every playthrough because I love it so much. The backdrop only gets like more varied and even better as the stage goes on. Just like before, I love this level for being such a nice calm before the storm, as the end of the game is right around the corner, just as is the case with the originals, or with the original Sonic 3, you know, compared to the remake of Sonic 3 we're playing right here. No, the original stage. And I love it for the new things they've added. See, those conveyor belts are new, and they come from Sonic CD. Specifically, they come from Quartz Quadrant Zone. Want to avoid that Eggman power-up, it hurts you if you get it. I also want to avoid this power-up. It hurts me inside if I get it. There we go. Get past you. I mean, there's not a whole lot for me to say. Oh, those lava falls. Were those in the original level too? Oh man, if they were, I missed out. Oh man, see that magma in the back with that machine next to it? I never thought that the way that they would go about making this level look better would be to add buildings inside of it, and that it would work so well, but no, it does. It works insanely well. I also like how that platform is technically being pushed up by the lava spout underneath it. And hey, these things are back! Careful, if you zoom on that conveyor belt right there, you can be killed by this platform falling down. I would know because that happened to me. That machine in the background there is a reference to the Launch Base Act 2 boss from Sonic 3. And here we have a blue ring. I still have yet to show it, because I haven't gotten enough rings for that to be possible. But yeah, if you take damage and drop your rings, then you pick it all back up with the blue ring, you can essentially get an easy extra life from taking damage. Oh, I didn't turn the conveyor belt like I wanted to, but that's fine. Launch myself into that. And just, oh man, I'm gonna be gushing over the background at every single step of this entire level because that's just what I do. Oh yeah, by the way, this little platform also returns from Quartz Quadrant and Sonic CD. Forgot to point that out before. Through the ceiling holes, you can see a big planet. That is Little Planet from Sonic CD, the setting of that game. We actually briefly went there earlier in the game by going to Stardust Speedway. Also, interesting looking wall here. It kind of stands out. I wonder what that's about. Anyway, but yeah, now we actually see it for ourselves and we're making our way to it at this very moment. I'll talk more about how these zones connect together later. In the meantime, let's just enjoy more of this lovely ambience. In older versions of Sonic Mania, Little Planet used to be all, like, lit up. And there's a certain reason for that. The reason being that the stage transition from Lava Reef to the zone following it didn't used to exist. And now this area has been modified a little bit in order to account for the new one. For instance, this platform here did not used to be a rocket launching up into the sky. It was just a static platform. That's all it was. It is, however, still a platform where you fight a boss. This is Heavy Rider, the last of the hard-boiled heavies that Sonic fights, at least. Or, well, actually, okay, that's not true. We have to dodge past their swingy ball and chain here in order to hit them. Also, take note that they are riding one of the first enemies in the game, the Motobugs from Green Hill Zone. I quite like that. Lost my fire shield, that's okay with me. I want to show off more of their attacks anyway. Okay, they jump over you. Oh, they jump over you as they get close. Can you do one of your other attacks, please? There we go. They launch themselves at you. You can hit them if you manage to lead your jump. Aim your jump well. You have one more attack that you can do. You almost did it. Come on, come on. Yeah, they can land on that platform. They can do something. Come on. Okay, maybe I need to stay here. Okay, you jump over me. You go up there. Yes, okay. When they jump over the middle, they celebrate. I think that's supposed to be their voice. I'm not really sure. It's something. And they launch fire at you. If they do that fast attack right afterwards, you can saw they leave a fire trail. They will not normally leave that trail with that attack, but they do if they've just done the leap above the thingy there attack. That's my best name for it, right beforehand. Before I end this level, I would like to point out, the Motobug that Heavy Rider was riding is named Jimmy. It is named in the honor of a Sonic ROM hacker with the username Polygon Jim, who was known for creating a ROM hack for Sonic 1 where you play as a Motobug, and it used the same jump animation that shows up in the fight. In 2013, Polygon Jim passed away in a car accident, and so the Sonic Mania developers added Jimmy the Motobug in this boss fight in order to honor him. I love it when official video games can honor those in the community who have passed. I think it's one of my favorite things about them. Sometimes, all you need for a stage transition is a simple, threatening beep. I love that transition a lot. Welcome to Metallic Madness Zone. This is the final returning stage in Sonic Mania, and it hails from Sonic CD, being the final zone of that game. I actually wish to go down this way. I remember not being a terribly big fan of the zone on my first playthrough of Sonic Mania, and also not being a terribly big fan of it in Sonic CD, because, again, I'm not a big fan of Sonic CD, but the more I've played it, the more I've grown to like it. It is kind of bouncy and all over the place, just like the rest of Sonic CD's levels, but again, I think they do make it feel somewhat orderly, and they make it a lot more fun than its original incarnation. One of these ways is by allowing you to go inside the background. This is a nice little visual effect used in certain points in the level. As you can see, like, the foreground is just passing us by while we have to change our focus to a different plane of the entire freaking level. Jump over you. I do like the enemies and the hazards of Metallic Madness Zone. You got these spikes that are moving around, the usual crushers that you see in a late game factory level of a Sonic game. You got those enemies that move spikes around. That sounds like something I've already said. Is that something I've already said? I'm not really sure. There's also some of the springs are on, like, moving unicycles. I quite like that. I almost made that jump. Want to be careful going through these crushers. I think these can catch you in a bad mood. They could catch you in a bad mood, in which case they crush you and put you in an even worse mood. Hop. I had no reason to go after you in particular. I just chose to. I was just like, screw this guy in particular, no one else. Just a long straightaway, very bouncy, very good pace. Love it. These guys, I love those Russian doll mines that are based off of the original mine from Sonic 1. Those were also in the original Sonic CD level, so it's not something Mania came up with, but I've always liked it. Sonic CD was kind of developed as like an alternate universe Sonic 2, for lack of a better description. It's heavily based off of Sonic 1 and was developed at the same time. I think it came out slightly after Sonic 2, but it was developed like as a sequel to Sonic 1 and not a sequel to Sonic 2. Now at the end, we have another callback. Not from Sonic CD, though, from Sonic 1. This is the final boss of Sonic 1. Eggman launches 2 crushers after you, and he is waiting inside of one of them, and you have to hit the one that he's inside. He then launches those pathetic electricity orbs at you, which, if you have the electric shield, are no issue whatsoever, as you can see. Even if you don't have the electric shield, just spin dash out of the way of them, or pass through the gaps here. The final boss of Sonic 1 was definitely not the most exciting thing in the world, so I think it is totally fitting for it to have become an Act 1 boss of Mania. It works extremely well, and it fits with the theme, because like earlier in the game, we had Sonic 2's final boss come back. Ooh, but wait, it's not done just yet. We have a Phase 2. He goes berserk and now repeatedly tries to crush you. It's somewhat intense until you find out that he's in every 4th crusher. I get why he's in every 4th crusher. It's so that you're not winning this isn't up to RNG. Still, though, maybe it could have been like every other crusher, or maybe, no, have the electric orbs come back. Why aren't the electric orbs in that phase at all? I don't really get that. Anyway, that's Act 1 of Metallic Madness. Pretty fun level, and it's only gonna get even more fun. The Act 2s in this game are so great. I think the only zone where I prefer Act 1 is Studiopolis. Starting right away. I like how those window shutters, or whatever they are, move aside to show you the new background. Now we're getting deeper in. It's getting darker. Now it's based off of one of the bad future aesthetics for the level, which, by the way, that's a thing with Sonic CD that was referenced earlier, the time travel. I wasn't a terribly big fan of the time travel. It was really annoying to activate, and, you know, if you were just going through a casual playthrough and you didn't care about getting the good ending, it didn't do a lot for you. But I suppose, like, you need to approach Sonic CD with a different mindset than other Sonic games to truly enjoy it. Kind of like how Sonic 1, you should approach that game as if it were a standard platformer, not a Sonic game to truly enjoy it. As you can see now, I've hit a little laser beam that's made me little. I guess little laser beam would work. Okay. Nothing really changes, aside from the fact that you can't really jump as high, and there's dedicated sections made with that in mind. I was hoping to, like, get through this part really quickly, but sadly I was too hasty and I got hit. There we go, we're back to big again. It's basically Act 2's version of the go in the backdrop mechanic. Gonna keep going forwards. Can't remember which route of this level I like the most. I'm gonna go up. There's a mechanic in this level that I don't know if we're gonna be able to see. Here, let me let me take a hit and then go down, because I think down gets you this mechanic more often. Yes, okay. Right here, we're gonna become big, and now we have this. This is a reinterpretation of a mechanic from Sonic CD, where these platforms, spike platforms, would drop on you and you have to hit the openings. They would do it very, very slowly in Sonic CD. You were given ages to react to each one. Here, though, you see a pattern, and then it drops on you really quickly. I kind of like it. I do think maybe it could have been more challenging by having those things be shorter, but I guess being crushed by that would instant kill you, if I'm not mistaken, so maybe it's for the best that they don't. Is there, like, a shield if I go up here? I remember there being something if we go up here. It's a neck. Okay, fine, I'll take it. If I must. Now listen to this amazing saxophone. That was freaking close. I'd be remiss not to mention that the background music for Metallic Madness in Sonic Mania is actually a rap battle between Sonic and Eggman. The Act 1 theme has Sonic rapping in the distant background. It's really, really hard to hear the lyrics, but it is there, and I think the composer for this game, T. Lopes, has posted those lyrics. Act 2 has Eggman rapping in those quieter sections instead. It's pretty cool. Now, the ultimate Eggman boss! The Gotcha Machine! Such a nightmare! The Gotcha Machine. You have to trigger it in order to win. There's no way not to obtain something. I guess you don't have to pay, so it's technically much more worth doing than a real Gotcha Machine would be. What can pop out is either Amy Rose, another Sonic CD reference, just spin dash into her from the beginning, otherwise try to jump onto her. Don't let her grab you like... Okay, don't let her grab you like that for long or else she will explode. I actually think I want to show that animation. It is pretty cool. The other ones will be the Marble Zone boss from Sonic 1 or the Emerald Hill Zone boss from Sonic 2. Okay, you can grab me. She smiles evilly before blowing up. It's so creepy, yet adorable. I don't really know what to think about it. Okay, watch out for the fire the Marble Zone boss leaves on the ground. This guy's easy. Just don't hit the front. Eggman goes faster from side to side as you get more of the pods released, the Gachapons or whatever they are released. Is that the name for, like, the individual capsules, the Gachapons? Then, all he has left for his final hit is these electric orbs. They're super easy to avoid. What a weird boss this is. This is such a very strange boss for this point in the game, but sure, whatever. Now, did you notice, based on the zones we've went through so far, we have had one zone return from Sonic 1, Green Hill. We've had 2 zones return from Sonic 2. We've had 3 zones from Sonic 3. We've also had 2 zones from Sonic CD, which is, as I mentioned before, kind of parallel to Sonic 2. And then, Sonic Mania brings in original zones of its own. And as you could imagine, being a sequel to Sonic 3, it would naturally have 4. We have seen 3 of them thus far. I am very happy to say, no, Sonic Mania did not screw up the finale after the amazingness that was Sonic 3's finale with Death Egg Zone and whatnot. The final original stage, as well as the final zone of the entire game, Titanic Monarch Zone, or Titanic Monarch, perhaps. Also, yes, I know that the previous zone might actually be pronounced Hydrocity, not Hydrocity, but I've always said Hydrocity, and that's what I'd just rather keep saying. Thanks. I thought Death Egg was cool, and it is, but I think I like this zone a hell of a lot more. It brings back some aspects of Death Egg Zone. For instance, this platform is just copied straight from Death Egg Zone, but it has a bunch of new enemies of its own. It has a brand new aesthetic that I didn't expect. Listening to the music before actually seeing the zone myself, I was expecting it to be the typical, like, gray, dark, moody final level. But no, it's this really cool, like, almost amusement park-looking Eggman thing. I don't know what else to call it. It just looks like Eggman. That's all I really have to say about it. Also, I love these plasma ball things. These return from one of the bonus stages from Sonic 3. And I do have to say, I think the developers greatly missed out on having those things actually have the plasma inside, or whatever is inside those things. It might not be plasma, I'm not sure. React to Sonic as he's on the outside of it, just like the real things would. That would have been so cool, and I'm kind of sad they didn't do that. But, you know, it's no big deal. Better to have the game be fun than to include a pointless visual effect. That's what I always say. Okay, that's the one hit I've taken so far. I also want you to pay attention to my cool bonus at the end of this stage. There's a weird thing within this level, too. Leap, and leap. This is a very challenging stage, but, you know, it's the last one. It should be. In particular, this section can cause quite the number of deaths. You can be easily crushed against the spikes on the ceiling or even on the floor, so be careful going through this part. Okay, that was a little close. We're fine. Ride this up. Anytime you want to come back down to me, someday, you know, you don't have to get on it quickly or anything. Those guys will summon a field that will eventually damage you, as they have been doing so far. If you kill them, they stop. If you get far enough away from them, they stop. Simple as that. There we go, flinging ourselves right back up. Now I want you to take a listen to this music for a while. One of my favorite things about this track, and that seeing those eyes back there is amazing, and is one of my favorite things about this level, easily. Anyway, one of my favorite things about this song, it makes you feel like, it captures the atmosphere perfectly of, like, being on the top of a city on a dark night with tons of wind blowing by, yet it manages to capture that feeling without having any wind sound effects in it whatsoever. It's just the reverb that the percussion has, plus the bass that gives the feeling of a windy night, and I love it for that. There's no actual wind sounds in it at all. By the way, because it's the final level and it's thematically fitting with Sonic 3, I do have to compliment the backdrop. The backdrop actually changes completely partway through the level. Not sure if you noticed that, but there was a point earlier in the level where when you pass by a certain point, the backdrop changes and the level itself, the foreground elements, light up. One of my favorite subtle things throughout the level. You never really notice it. And that eye, seeing that face staring at you at that point in the level is so cool. I love the Titanic Monarch's design, and I absolutely love how it's sitting there in the background watching you the entire time. It's amazing. And you don't even know that it's watching you because you haven't reached its high parts yet. Oh god, return of this guy. Don't worry, me. This guy's nowhere near as annoying as the Sonic 3 version. His name is also the Crimson Eye, while the original one was Red Eye. It's gotten an upgrade, and I agree. It's definitely gotten an upgrade. It's a hell of a lot better than the original fight. I'm just gonna go in for that hit now that I've taken a hit. I think that was 3 hits I've taken. Maybe I miscounted. I'll look over it in editing. Anyway, first phase is identical to the Sonic 3 version. Phase 2 is nowhere near as painful, though. The down arrow indicates which direction the elevator is moving at high speeds and which direction the dude's gonna stick himself to, and then shoot those things. Just stay to the sides of him if he's going down, stay below him if he's going up. Simple as that. While he's going up, your jumps are severely inhibited, and it's really hard to land a hit on him. Because you're only really allowed to have one hit. Okay, you can land one at the very beginning there. It's kind of hard to do, though. Kind of hard to time. I much prefer him going down, though, like here, because then you can get all the hits in the world on it. It is a bit annoying that this boss is RNG dependent, but I will take this Phase 2 over the Phase 2 of the Red Eye from Sonic 3 any day. Much better version of that fight. I greatly prefer it. But that's just me. It's still a little bit annoying, though. Definitely not a perfect boss. Now, I got hit 3 times, so I should have 7,000. Oh, I have 4,000. That's because whenever you ride one of those roller coaster things with the egg robos, upon being knocked away at the end, that counts as a hit according to the cool bonus. Act 2. We've arrived. We've on the inside of this thing. Now, all we gotta do is tear out the lungs, tear out the heart, poison the liver or whatever. Actually, I don't think the liver would be poisonous. Anyway, yeah. I mean, I don't know. That's the first thing I would think of upon entering the belly of the beast. This level is somewhat open-ended. You have 4 options to go down, and you can choose which option you go down. This is kind of a odd, interesting, like, trend with modern platformers, because, okay, the final level of both Kirby Triple Deluxe and Yoshi's Woolly World are like this. And Sonic Mania's is also like this. I don't know where this trend came from. Maybe there was a Mario game that started it, maybe one of the classic Mario games even. But yeah, I've noticed that a lot of modern platformers tend to have this idea for their final level, that you go to 4 different routes and you have to complete them all to win. The routes aren't, like, ordered in difficulty. They're not, like, themed after anything. They are just 4 different sections of the level that you have to complete individually in whatever order you want in order to reach the end. Simple as that. I've heard that people aren't a huge fan of this level, and though I definitely disagree, I guess on a first playthrough it is on the long side, and length is, having levels be too long is one of people's main criticisms with certain Sonic levels. That is Studiopolis Zone, and I can definitely understand that. Still though, just like Studiopolis, once you get this level down, it's really not that long at all. It's pretty painless to go through in my experience. In fact, I'd say it's an easier level than Act 1. And I say that because in Act 1, I can never get through that level without being hit at least once, like in this playthrough. Whereas with this level, I find this level so much easier to do no damage. Yeah, these roller coasters, being knocked at the end there counts as a hit. So it actually counts against you in the cool bonus. Kinda weird. I know this because I got the achievement, on the Steam achievement, that you get for completing Titanic Monarch Act 1 without taking damage, and I had a cool bonus of 7,000. So that definitely told me something was up with that. If you go this direction at the end of this route, you can teleport to this secret area that gives you an electric shield. If you want to have an easy, quick, easy time with the final boss of this game, keep this electric shield until the end of the level. In fact, you might want to do that route last so that you grab it last and you don't have any chance of losing it. Because the electric shield is fantastic against the final boss. That said, though, I think I will show how the final boss is fought normally, just because, you know, the electric shield honestly makes it somewhat of a joke, so... Launch me over here. I'll hop up this room. Also have to love the return of those bears from Scrap Brain Zone, which was the final zone of Sonic 1. Seen a lot of reincorporation of previous mechanics. Those stained glass windows in the background are so cool. I love the aesthetics of this level. There's something about it just makes me think of like some kind of steampunk roller coaster at an amusement park. It makes me think of Eggman Land or any of the other amusement parks like Tropical Resort, whatever that theme park was in Sonic Colors. It makes me think of that. That combined with like the dark background and the stained glass windows, like it's some religious building for them. It's so cool. And it shows the Phantom Ruby front and center in it. I will say, one of the things about Sonic Mania that I think is a little bit weak compared to Sonic 3 is its story. Sonic 3 had the awesome, like, twist towards the end where Knuckles was tricked by Eggman, and then he helps you go after the Death Egg as it takes the launch once more, and I really liked that aspect of it. Why don't I take that blue ring? I'll take that. And sadly, nothing like that really exists in Mania. The hard-boiled heavies are, like, I don't know how to feel about them, honestly. They're cool characters. I like their designs a lot, and I like their boss fights especially. They have some of my favorite boss fights in this whole game. But I think one part of it is that, like, the zones aren't really connected that well in universe like they were in Sonic 3. Most of the stage transitions are just the Phantom Ruby teleports you there, and I think they could have been a little more interesting in that way. I kind of like the story that we have, but I will agree that Sonic 3's story was better, even if this game is so much more fun to play in every other way, in my opinion. Portal appears after completing the 4 routes. 3 rings, that's all you're gonna need against the final boss fight. He's gonna pretend he didn't see those warnings and attack us anyway. Please take my electric shield away. Please do it. Thank you. I'm gonna fight him without the electric shield. This is why the electric shield makes this fight a joke. He launches electricity at you through these wires, and yeah, the electric shield makes you immune to them. Okay, then he launches 4 missiles at you. Like, get out of the way of them. I don't believe they can harm you while they're in the air, so you can jump as an option. Only got 2 hits there, and it takes a lot of hits to kill it. He then sends these ghostly hands after you, which upon being grabbed, teleports you to a sequence where you have to face off against a hard-boiled heavy for briefly. I do kind of like how they're all being used in this final boss here, especially if you don't bring the electric shield and you don't skip right past them. There we go, I got an extra life with the blue ring. That's how you can do it. It's pretty funny. Okay, stay outside. I do have to say, you know, the fact that you have to wait a lot throughout this fight isn't the greatest thing, but after hitting him 4 times, one of the 4 wires disappears. Okay, jump on the other side of that. We avoided that just fine. Now, I can jump towards him there to get an extra hit. There we go. Make it easier to land that second hit. Now for the next phase. We're up against Heavy, no, you're Heavy Shinobi. I almost called you Heavy Samurai. That would not be correct. You go that way, and then he's going to spin around to that one. He's then going to launch his blades in all 4 directions, like so. After that, you can just jump right into this bay and be totally fine. Take your hands off the controls, take a little break, take a sip of water. You deserve it for making it this far. Get out of the way of that. Oh my god. I was actually taking a drink right then, and I almost got hit by that because I was distracted. Oh, thanks for landing so close to me. Alright, there's 4 hits shaved off. This guy gets easier to hit as the fight goes on, so thankfully it does not last forever and ever. Okay, I'm gonna hit. I think I get it. No, I didn't hit a 3rd time. That's okay. I do want to show what all of the little hard-boiled heavy sections are like anyway. Now for Heavy Magicians. This one's the hardest one for me. The hardest one to avoid damage on. Okay. Sure. Alright. I didn't even remember which one was the real one that you're supposed to look out for, but it worked out. Okay, I'm gonna land 1 hit, maybe 2, but I'll be careful because I do want to show the final minigame. Okay. I could finish him off right here, though. There's the 4 missiles. Easy to avoid. You just have to jump. They do not deal any damage when they're in the air, only when they land on the ground. Please send your last heavy after me. Listen to this music while we do this. That section is just Geometry Dash. Don't hang out on the right side of the screen. You should be fine. I love this final boss music. All the other boss music in this game isn't nearly as intense as I'd want it to be, but this one definitely makes up for it. There it is! Base game final boss down! One, two, three, go! Upon obtaining all the Chaos Emeralds, you are taken to this level as a true final boss. Just like the Doomsday Zone from Sonic 3, you play as Super Sonic all throughout it. To remind you, Super Sonic is invincible, mostly. In this case, you actually can take damage a little bit, but only a little bit. Aside from that, it runs super fast, can also fly if you double jump in the air, though only in this level, nowhere else in the game, I should note. But he consumes rings. If you run out of rings, you apparently, succumb to lack of oxygen and die. I don't know how Supersonic dies in this one compared to Doomsday Zone, but that's what happens. Gotta dodge past Heavy King's launches here and hit him. He uses as a shield. Kind of like best offense is a good defense, as they say. Now, for the final time, listen to this! Some of you may know that as the song, I can't remember its name, but it's from Sonic Forces. What is it, like, Final something? High five? It's something like that. Something synonymous with high five. To explain the plot of what's going on in this level, as you saw there, Eggman and the Heavy King, who is in a Super Heavy King form, the final hard-boiled heavy of them all, are having a fight over who gets to utilize the Phantom Ruby for their nefarious plans. This was foreshadowed all the way back at the transition from Green Hill to Chemical Plant Zone. Eggman wasn't exactly getting along with the hard-boiled heavies, despite him creating them. They're both trying to utilize its power, and you're coming in to interrupt the argument and make sure neither of them uses it. This is a fun boss. As you can see, being hit by one of these projectiles causes you to lose some rings. That's basically it otherwise. This is a fun boss, though I do slightly prefer Doomsday Zone for its music and, you know, the fight being a lot more challenging. This one isn't that hard in my experience, but it's still extremely enjoyable and a great, energetic way to wrap up this awesome, awesome game. I don't know how many hits you have left. Oh, that's your last hit. They both have 8 hits, so that means Eggman is done for. Eventually. Okay, I want to make this look cool. Go back down. Where are you going? Bam! That's the game! And so, classic Sonic was whisked away into Sonic Forces. I think we got the bad ending. Yeah, that's it. A little disappointing in comparison to the endings of the Genesis games, especially considering that they fully animated it. But hey, let me tell you, the non-true ending is a hell of a lot worse than that, and even less anticlimactic. Anyway, that was Sonic Mania. Easily my favorite Sonic game out of the ones that I've played. Bear in mind that I've only played the classics beyond it. I've played this game so many times, and I consider it an absolute joy every single time. There is not a single level in this game that I would consider unfun or boring, with the possible exception of Mirage Saloon Act 1. And every act feels so distinct from one another, even distinct from the other act in the same zone. Every level is a wholly unique experience that keeps the game fresh and interesting throughout its entire runtime. And while, yes, it is a little disappointing to me that there are only 4 original zones and the rest were just grabbed from the classic Sonic games for the sake of nostalgia, meaning that Sonic Mania is surprisingly not that original, I still think what they do with those old zones is enough for me to forgive it. What if Flying Battery Zone Act 2 took place inside of a huge storm that the airship is flying underneath? What if Chemical Plant Zone had the super bouncy platforms from Sonic CD? What if you could light the oil ocean on fire? What if Sonic CD levels were good? It's honestly kind of hard to go back and play the original zones after experiencing them in this game. The final thing I love about Mania is that I've always loved the classic Sonic formula for a platformer. The levels are all strung together in one order, there aren't any pointless fluff or bonus levels. There are secrets, but they're only really for getting you through the level faster or getting some goodies, but you're never expected to scour the level for a bunch of collectibles, which has actually come to be one of my least favorite things about platformers these days. I want to see this formula return, whether it's in a Sonic game or not in a Sonic game. I want to see a game like this happen again. And this time, without so much reusing past content. And that's where I'm gonna skip the credits because the rest of them are so freaking long. I sat through them first time and I consider that to be an absolute mistake. Wait a minute. Wait, it was supposed to show a results screen showing how much time I got. Well, okay then, never mind. I guess I may as well say right here, where the hell was this in previous Sonic games? Why did it take, like, 2 decades to be added to the classic Sonic games? This is a no-brainer for a game about going fast. Why would you not add, like, a full completion clear time at the end like that? Whatever. The clear time you see there is based on your times for every single level added up. It does not include cutscenes, it does not include times after beating the boss, it does not include the cooldown at the beginning where the zone title is still on the screen and the time hasn't started ticking yet. Now, for bonus topics! To go over what these other game options are and spoil them a little bit. Actually, I'll tell you the truth, I don't know what this one is off the top of my head. Wait, yes I do. This is debug mode. If you turn this on, you can access the, debug mode cheat that's been in all the classic Sonic games where you can, like, place down objects. It's pretty cool. You have to unlock these, as well as stuff in the extras menu by completing the bonus stages. Then for Sonic's ability. This has 3 options, Mania, CD, or 3-end Knuckles if I had it unlocked, which I don't. Setting this ability to Mania gives you the drop dash. Why would you want anything else, right? Anyway, CD gives you the super peel out, which is the same as a spin dash, but you press up and then the jump buttons to do it, and you don't curl up. And Sonic 3 Knuckles gives you the insta-shields, but the drop dash is way better than any of those stupid things. This final one is and Knuckles mode. I'll let you find out what that is on your own. It's pretty great. Speaking of Knuckles, he's a playable character, along with Tails and Sonic and Tails together. I believe Sonic and Tails together, you can do the thing where you, like, Sonic grabs onto Tails and Tails can fly into certain parts of the level. It's basically like playing as both of them at the same time. Knuckles does not get his own campaign in this game, but to make up for that, he does get his own level, an entire level exclusive to him in Mirage Saloon Act 1. Notice how he got bumped off of the plane there? Well, his Mirage Saloon Act 1 level is him going through the bottom area of Mirage Saloon after being knocked off. You can even see Heavy Magician brings out one of the caterpillar things to send after him, and you do fight it as a boss. Finally, these 2 clowns, which come from... Okay, well, this guy kind of comes from Knuckles Chaotix, but he also comes from Sega Sonic the Hedgehog, a spin-off arcade game based in the Sonic universe. Sega Sonic the Hedgehog is the only other place we saw Ray the Flying Squirrel, and that's who this character is right here. This guy's Mighty the Armadillo, by the way. Mighty the Armadillo can have a huge ground pound, and this guy has a weird flying ability that's similar to Tails, though it's more like swoopy and weird and glidey. I won't show what they're like because I'll save this for a potential follow-up video where I play the Encore mode. The Encore mode is added in the Sonic Mania Plus DLC, if you buy it as well. And it's basically just a run through the same game, but the levels have different color palettes, and there's a weird new character system, which actually lets you, like, play as all the characters at once. It's kind of strange, but it's kind of interesting. I might give it a go, if y'all want to see that. Then you have Time Attack and Competition. This is a 2-player mode. I don't have a second player, so I can't do that. I also don't know how you would do this on PC, but, you know. The Time Attack mode, though, is single player, and I will be able to go in. And I do want to go in real quick because...
Sonic!
I love how excited he is when you pick Sonic. He's like, Sonic! Yeah, you picked Sonic! Time Attack is, as you'd expect, play any of the levels from the game, and just beat them as fast as you can. The time doesn't start until you hit that ticker at the beginning. And, yeah. Let me see if I can get, like, a flawless run through Green Hill. I'd love to do that here. That was very not flawless. I hit the rock. Oh, no, I'm going down. No! Oh, no! Alright. On Time Attacks, the boss is removed. You just have to get to the end of the level. You do not need to fight the boss. I think I kind of prefer it this way, especially because some of the bosses would take a lot of time.
New record!
I love how excited this guy is. Goal! New record! Alright, I don't know what those buttons mean. The thumbs up. I give that a thumbs up. Sure. I guess the other one was a reset button. Go! Press A to go! What's leaderboards? Ooh, is this online leaderboards? Cool, I am ranked 22,559th. Yeah, that's about right. Crystal Meth was right above me. I at least need to do better than Crystal Meth, come on. Alright. For extras, this Okay, I'll admit, I don't know all of what's in this screen. I do know one of these is a playable Puyo Puyo game that you can just play whenever you want to. You can even play it with a friend if you like. I think another one of them is you get to play the Sonic 3 bonus stages, the Blue Sphere stages whenever you want. I'll look up what the last one is and post it here in editing. You can also see all the medals you've earned from Sonic 3's bonus stages listed down there. Speaking of which... Here we go. Oh my god, I was worried I wouldn't find a checkpoint. Let's play a level of Blue Spheres just to show what it's like. Why not? I think this one might be easier to control just because, yeah, you can see it is so much, like, cleaner looking. Probably much easier for me to time the button presses. Still, though, I think it's the same deal where Sonic gets faster as time goes on, and I hope I got that one Blue Sphere. If I didn't, oops. Should I do a live stream of me just, like, playing Blue Sphere stages? No. Probably not. I don't think that would be a very good stream. I hope to beat this one. I think I'm about to. Okay, so 6, then bounce you. You should take me to more of them. You took me to those, and there we go. That's all of them. That felt easier than the Sonic 3 ones. Maybe it is. Get a silver medal. If you can beat that, if you can beat one of those stages with not only all Blue Spheres, but all rings, you get a gold medal that doesn't do anything at all. It's just for show. What is this way? This is part of the level that you probably never see because there's no reason to go over here ever. If there's rings here, I'm interested. Oh. Well, there's one up. That's something. What is this? That's invincibility. I don't care. These enemies, I don't think I ever gave time to show them, but they pop out from the walls and chase after you. They're from the original game as well. I just ran past them, so they never got a chance to show themselves. Ah, here's the funny shoe of this game. It's not as funny because it has its own special music playing, because this game's music isn't sequenced, so they can't just speed it up or down. Now, for the moment you have all been waiting for. Or you may have been waiting for, I don't know. That music is glorious, and I love this earthquake effect that happens when you hit the ground with it. Oh, you think you're a boss fight? Well, haha, look who's dumb now. I don't know if it's possible to unlock Supersonic in the first zone of this game. It was possible to do that in Sonic 2 and also Sonic 3, or Sonic and Knuckles specifically. There were enough special stages in Mushroom Hill Zone. Oh, that, yeah, I'll save you guys first. Why wouldn't I? And then I'm gonna leave. There's one last aspect of the fire shield that I forgot to show. It has one more special level-specific property. It can burn this thing. This thing's really hard to jump across, so it honestly feels very cathartic to do. And your reward is a shit ton of rings and an extra life. I got up to 6 lives instantly there, 6 from 4. That is everything that I wish to talk about with this game. Love this game. I 100% recommend it. It's available on modern consoles. Give it a try. I'm sure if you like the classic Sonic games, you'll probably like this one. Now, without any further rambling on, I'm out of here. Thank you all for watching if you did, and as always, I will see you all in the future.